How we doing? I hope everybody's really good, looking after yourselves out there. So interesting times, and we have this presidential election, and it's a farce. It's a farce. We have the spoil the vote campaign. We see Declan Ganley is very much involved with Eddie Hobbs, with Malachy Steenson, and they want us to spoil the vote, which seems like a good idea. It seems like a good idea, but we have to ask some pertinent questions, don't we, before we proceed? And some of these questions aren't being aired. So hence I'm got my little mic out. Let's try and put them out there. Let's go through this. We have trust issues. I've got trust issues for sure, because a lot of the people who are speaking out now so eloquently, showing a lot of intelligence, where were they at the time when those injections were being forced and coerced on people? Okay, we saw people like us who were uh, kicked out of society, essentially, told we're not allowed to enter unless we get these injections. You're not allowed to take part in society unless you get these injections. We have the same people who said nothing during that time now telling us to spoil the vote. I'm like, well, trust issues. Got some trust issues here. So who are we talking about? I mean, who's telling us to spoil the vote? Is it Freemasons? Are Freemasons telling us to spoil the vote? Because if that's the case, and it's looking likely that that's the case, the little problem here. We've got a little problem with the Freemasons telling us to spoil the vote, because the Freemasons also equal Israel. And Israel's fingerprints are all over the nationalist movement. Very similar to the UK. We have Tommy Robinson in the UK. Similar setup where they're telling us lots of emotional stories, very, very emotive. We agree with most of them. We have this scenario now in City West where an asylum seeker raped a 10-year-old child, right? This is the story we're being told. This is very, very emotive. This would get anybody out in the street, and well done for the people getting out and showing their protest and demonstrating. Fair play. I agree, all right? I agree. But I just think we're being played. That's the problem. We are being played because it looks like there's some kind of controlled demolition going on of democracy, of politics. We're supposed to hate the politicians so much that we can't bear them, that we spoil the vote, and the next part is some kind of Palantir thing, because we know that Ganley and Peter Thiel work hand in glove, okay? So we have to bring these things into account. I listened, let me just pull it up there now. I was listening to Eddie Hobbs, Declan Ganley and Malachy Steenson, and I must say I was nodding away in agreement to so much of it. And yes, there are absolute tactics. You can see the mainstream media using these tactics when it comes to reporting, saying Saggart rather than City West, because we all associate City West with an iPass centre. So we know, and we've seen this before with the stabbings of the children in Parnell Square. We've seen, and then they put all the focus on the riots and they took it away from the stabbing of the children. Are they going to do the same with the City West? Take the focus off the rape of the child and put it onto, the far right. So we've learned a lot, and we know their tactics.
If you look at what happened over the weekend, this was a young child who went missing in the care of Tulsa. And I just want to address one thing firstly. The statement from Tulsa last night was a disgrace. And if you remember, the chairman of Tulsa is Pat Rabbitt, who was appointed by Zapone and then reappointed by O'Gorman. And remember, Pat Rabbitt is the man who told us in relation to election promises that basically they're all lies. You just make them up and you ignore them then. Why is he silent on this? Last week, a child also in the care of Tulsa was stabbed 100 times to death. A Ukrainian lad who appeared to be here, according to his own parents, just to get a better life, not because he was fleeing war.
And what was it? What was in the Tulsa statement?
Well, I'll come back to that now in a second. And of course, that murder, there's a Somalian charged with that.
So let's just pause it up there. So this is absolutely shocking. If this kid was stabbed and another child raped practically in the matter of a week in Ireland, this needs to be discussed, and I'm looking at Eddie Hobbs and I'm thinking, well, he's at least providing this platform for this discussion that we're not getting properly on the mainstream media. And we know the mainstream media is completely complicit in government propaganda. We cannot trust them. Unfortunately, I'm at a position where I can't trust these guys either. So betwixt and between, caught between a rock and a hard place, really and truly. Are they telling us these stories? Are these stories true? So it's always the first one. Is it true? And I think it's true. But again, is it a psyop? Is it true? This is where we get really confused because we don't trust anybody. Don't trust either side. Don't trust the cops. Don't trust these guys. Don't trust the Irish government. So major trust issues. Why do we have trust issues? Because they've been lying consistently. And we've seen all these guys went into lockstep when they came for us with toxic injections. That was the time to speak up. When they came for us with the toxic injections, they said nothing. They went into lockstep, including Conor McGregor, all right, who, these guys were supporting for president, all right? This is how we know. So we have to start connecting the dots. This is how we know Ganley was over for President Trump's inauguration. Like, what was he doing there? Okay. When Tucker Carlson came to town, Malachus Deanston was there in the background. And when Tucker Carlson interviewed Conor McGregor in the Freemasons Lodge, they said nothing. It was like, oh yeah, well, they just needed a place. They just needed a place to do the interview. That's such nonsense. And it was incredible to me, the amount of people who fell for that, which I thought was hugely disappointing, because we need to be way further along than that. It shouldn't even be that you'd have to explain why that's ridiculous. That, of course, they're in the Freemasons Lodge because they're Freemasons. It's not that hard to figure out, is it? They're in the Freemasons Lodge because that's who they are. They have to tell you. All right. And then we have these BS stories in the complicit mainstream media that the Freemasons, make 2,500 charity donation after the Conor McGregor interview. Now that seemed to placate the normies. I hate using that word, but there's normies on this side too. The NPCs. Sometimes you got to use these words just to try and wake people up to go, yeah, you want to be one of these. You want to be a doofus. You want to believe this nonsense. We had Conor McGregor making that disgusting music video also in the same spot. Oh yeah, those poor Freemasons got tricked again. But the great thing about this interview is that it exposed so many, which was wonderful. Like Andy Quirk, Free Flags Andy. He said nothing about this. He's like, why are you focusing on the Freemasons Hall? We've got bigger things to think about. It's like, of course you're going to focus on the Freemasons Hall. And Andy, I just don't buy the story that you bought those flags. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Why would you be buying all these flags? And then we have all these protests and everybody's flying the same flag. Very similar to the setup in the UK. And we have Tommy Robinson, Stephen, what's his name? Yaxley Lennon, whatever his name is, over in Israel now, kissing Israeli butt. It's the same people. So this is why I can't spoil the vote, because it's like doing what Benjamin Netanyahu would ask you to do. Bibi wants you to spoil the vote. And I'm like, forget it. I won't. I'm just going to abstain. I'm not taking part in it. Now, have I fallen for these tricks in the past? I'd say I absolutely have fallen for them, because they're so compelling, and it's very hard sometimes because the information put out is given to you in such a way that you think this is the only thing to do. The only thing to do now is to spoil the vote. But is it? Is that the only thing to do? And I know I have been a defender of voting because I am a defender of the rights of people. Okay. And I think if we give up our rights, we're in a very, very dangerous predicament because we have evil on the left and we've got evil on the right. And they all want a dictatorship and they all want to rule over us. So handing over your rights is a very, very dangerous and tricky predicament. I don't think it's something we should do lightly. But I think this presidential election is such a farce. I can't, in good conscience, take part in it, including the spoil the vote. I can't, in good conscience, because I just think it stinks. There's something really dodgy going on here. And I don't trust the players. I don't trust what they're putting forward. So I've got trust issues. And I'm right to have trust issues, and I'm right to be a little bit paranoid. You have to be. If you're not a little bit paranoid by now, it's probably too late. You need to be asking these questions. Did I fall for Maria Steen? Is she really part of the Israeli apparatus? Maybe. I don't know. And when I first saw her, I thought, this woman is absolutely stunning, so she's beautiful. First, she did that. She looks like a president. Let me just pull her up. Then she has the intelligence. I mean, oh my. In a dumb age, to have somebody who can speak and who is articulate and who stood up for mothers so eloquently and beautifully. That's hard to forget. So when I put up a clip on X of her basically running rings around Micheál Martin, I mean, it was just magnificent. And I said, Maria Steen for president. I kind of meant it at the time. But then, old Gemma, she's annoying, really. Sometimes when she's right, she's annoying. She is pointing out the Ziona Institute and, another institute that said nothing when the injections were being rolled out, which tells us, it informs us that they were in lockstep. And we have to remember who went into lockstep. Left, right. It showed you the whole left, right thing is just Freemason games. All right. A secret society games. And when they want something, they all go into lockstep together. So we didn't hear from Maria Steen, as gorgeous and glorious as she is. We didn't hear from her at that time. Now, I've met her once up in Dublin, and I did congratulate her on that debate with Micheál Martin, because I thought she really was pretty incredible. But, if she's here as somebody to represent Israel, that's hugely problematic. But I don't know. She'll have to speak for herself. It is hugely problematic, And here's Declan Ganley now. Let me just see if that's up. Yeah. Here's Declan Ganley on RTE. RTE are pushing the spoil the vote campaign. So if this really was a rebel vote, RTE would not cover it. That's what we have to remember. If it was a proper rebel vote, they wouldn't cover it at all. They'd give it no oxygen. What they do to me, they don't, I don't exist. They don't want me talking. They don't want to put a spotlight on me because I am talking about excess deaths. I am showing the countries that abstained from the injections and how their mortality is lower than their own average even. And whereas Ireland's is way up consistently month on month. So they don't want the spotlight on that. So, I don't exist. But these guys will play along. Declan Ganley won't talk about the excess deaths. He won't show you the Eurostat figures. This is hugely problematic. Why aren't they showing the Eurostat figures? We have got the smoking gun. We have got it all. We've got all the information. But it's being quashed. So the whole thing is being managed. And that's a bit of a problem, innit? It is a bit of a problem. So I think another one that I probably fell for were the Burkes. Now, I mean, because I agree with a lot of what they're saying. This is the problem. I agree with Enoch Burke when he's talking about the transgender problem. There was this left problem. And in fairness to the Burkes, they did stand up when the injections were being rolled out. And they did do incredible work. And I've analysed the work. And, it stands up to scrutiny. So their work has been very good. And I think the stand he made against transgenderism and, what they do to children, I think, again, that was good work, what they've done. But why are they acting so crazy? It doesn't help matters at all when they do this. You've got to stay calm in these situations. We've got all the facts and figures. We've got the Eurostat figures. We've got all of that. We don't need to act like this. Remain.
My name is Enoch.
Like, what's he doing here?
I was last year. Do you have any respect for
Like, okay, let me just pause it there. You can't get right up into somebody's face like that. I don't care who it is. It's just bizarre to see this. And I think, is this a whole setup? Like, what is going on? They look absolutely barking, I'm afraid to say. Whether you agree with Catherine Connolly or not, you can't get up in her face like that. We're not that kind of people, I hope. We've got all the facts. We've got all the figures. We don't need to go on like that. And then for them to say we've got to vote for Heather Humphreys. I mean, then it'd be it's farcical. It's totally farcical. What? Heather Humphreys, so we know that she'd just be the same as Catherine Connolly. She would just sign off on whatever emergency legislation they need to rush through in order to bring in their totalitarian state. Left or right, it's going to be the same. They're still moving towards the same goal, which is a totalitarian state where you lose all your rights. That's why I'm very, very slow for people to lose their rights, because once you start losing them, they won't be given back too easily. Do I have the solution to that? No. I'm listening to people that are saying deregister. I'm so slow to do that. And yet I really don't want to take part in this farce. So I am betwixt and between myself. Yeah. And a little confused on the whole thing. But I just know that if we lose our rights, we're really, really screwed, because a great evil is upon us. And it's coming from the left and it's coming from the right. So it's like stuck in the middle with you. We've seen, what happened there in the Middle East. You see, a lot of the left are correct, really, when they're talking about what we all just witnessed there in Gaza. And then we've a lot of the right saying, it was just collateral damage. So we're seeing great evil on either side. And the left now are looking good because, they are standing up for dead children. But at the same time, they said nothing again for our own dead children, the Irish dead kids, when the toxic shots came for them. And now we're seeing the repercussions of those terrible decisions. It's all been covered up, and both sides are covering it up. They don't want to talk about it. And it really is the main subject that neither of them want to talk about. Book I'm reading at the minute. Let me just... So the Burkes, the Burkes, I can't get down with this. I can't get down with him shouting into Catherine Connolly's face like that. So I'm now out when it comes to the Burkes. I agree with their transgender stance. I agree with all that. But sorry, it's gone too cuckoo la la la. They either need a PR agent to try and help them get their point across in a calm and rational manner. There is no need for all the shouting. There's absolutely no need for all this drama. So you'd have to start questioning it. I have questioned it from the beginning, but because I agreed so much with the stance they took, I was kind of letting them off the hook. But no, I don't think I should anymore. This is just too zany. Anyway, so the book I'm reading, End of Medicine, Vernon Coleman. And Vernon, I think he's pro-Israel. I mean, this is all very tricky, isn't it, the whole thing? But actually, again, if I look at this stuff, what he's putting out in these books, which are available on his website, I think it's vernoncoleman.com, I think. The stuff is brilliant. He is brilliant, and he deserves to be supported because he was one of the few who stood up at the right time. You see, at the right time, and said the important things that needed to be said, which is don't go near those toxic shots. They are designed to cause trouble. And we're seeing the trouble now. We're seeing it with the turbo cancers. We're seeing it with the rise in deaths that nobody wants to talk about. So I'm going to abstain. That's where I'm at now. I'm abstaining. I'm not taking part. The whole thing is too farcical. And I don't trust the players involved. I've reason not to trust the players involved. It's not just a simple case of paranoia. There's a reason for it. So it looks like Freemason games. It looks like left-right divide. And I think us, the squeezed middle, we are becoming the squeezed middle, and that's the vaccinated and the unvaccinated together, because we were always on your side. That's what people need to realize. The jab need to realize that the unjabbed were always, always on your side. We always wanted to stop you making that bad decision. That's all, right? We didn't want to interrupt you too much, really and truly, because everybody's got to make their own decisions in life. But we could see, and I know a lot of people who took the injections thought they were doing the right thing. I don't have a problem with those people. The only people I have a real problem with are the ones who went out of their way to deceive the public. All right. So they're my target. The ones who went out of the way to deceive the public, make them believe there was a scary virus, make them believe they had no option but to roll up their sleeve. They're the ones I go after. And I really hope that the jabbed and the unjabbed together can do that. Because I think that's really, really important, that it's not a them, us. It's as in the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Anti-vaxxer is a dehumanizing term. And it did create a two-tier system in our society. And that is something we are going to have to get over and address at some point, because it wasn't right. And I know a lot of people who did take the injections didn't sign up for that either. They just, ended up taking part in it because it's like, well, I mean, maybe I should be taking this injection because maybe it's the right thing to do. And the other people who aren't doing it, they're putting Granny's life at risk, but Granny was in the nursing home being culled. So we have to really, really assess what happened in a clear, methodical manner. I clearly don't have the money to be setting up broadcasts. You see, if I look at Counterpoint and all them, there's loads of money behind them to do really, really good broadcasts. and to get the players in, to get everybody talking. And we do need those broadcasts. But I do have my computer, I have my phone, and so do you. So we can all take part in this, and we can all use our voices and make sure that our voices aren't washed out by these well-financed players, who have the broadcasting skills, because it's going to come down to broadcasting. It very much is an information war. But what I have found, the more time I spend over this side of the fence, is this side is bad. It's as bad as the left. The left's as bad as the right is as bad as the left. So it's back to the squeeze middle. This is why the middle ground is so important. This is why they fight for the middle ground. And they put us in positions, in these situations, highly emotive situations where you feel you have no choice. And this is the moment where I would say, hang back, assess with clear eyes. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.